Good morning. So today I'm going to do something a little different. I know I've been doing Revelations, and something yesterday told me that I need to go back to the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5. And when Jesus starts preaching, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Okay, so my questions are, what exactly does that mean, poor in spirit? Is that like a sinner, or is that somebody who just is on the fence, doesn't believe or does believe? I'm not sure. So this is a legitimate question. I'm asking you guys, what does that mean? So, blessed are the poor, for their heaven is theirs, or poor in spirit. Okay, so poor in spirit. When I think about that, I'm not sure if who that means. Honestly, I'm not sure. And Jesus goes on about blessed are all kinds of everybody, pretty much. And then we continue reading about the law, and it says that, like the salt and the light, salt, if it doesn't taste salty, it's useless, so it should be thrown out and trampled under feet. Okay, I get that. I mean, if something's no good, get rid of it. And then the light of the world, whoever builds a town on a hill will always be seen. Pretty much. I mean, it cannot be hidden, is what it says in the Bible. And that is 5:14. And they don't light a lamp and put it under a bowl. They put it on a stand so everybody can see. So, and everybody outside can see as well, because there's light coming from that source. So, yeah. And it's talking about Jesus did not come to abolish the law. He just did not come to abolish it. He came to uphold it. And yesterday I was watching a video, and they were talking about, there was this guy, and he said, do you love Jesus perfectly? And I thought about that, and I don't even know what that means. I don't even know if I'm capable of such a thing. And then he followed it up with, if you don't love Jesus perfectly, do you love Jesus at all? Because how do you know? If you don't love him perfectly, like Jesus loves you perfectly, how do you know? That makes sense. So I guess today my prayers would be about, how do I get this perfectly love for Jesus? I don't know. I'm just a guy, and I'm doing my best to muddle through this. But it talks about, if someone slaps you in the cheek, turn your head and let them slap the other cheek. If someone's suing you for your shirt, give them your coat too. If someone's walking you a mile, walk two. And I guess what it's really saying is, be humble and don't just let everything go. Nothing matters. Nothing matters here. All that matters is our relationship with Jesus Christ and our loyalty to Jesus Christ. So continuing on in Matthew, where he talks about murder, and then he gets down to, who says to the brother or sister, Reka, is answerable to the court, or is answerable to the court. And anyone who says, you fool, will be in danger of the fire of hell. Okay, so I looked up Reka, and what that means is like empty-headed or absent-minded, somebody who's just not with it. And just because they're not with it, it's not our job to criticize them. So Be mindful of that, as I will too. Um, then it talks about settle matters quickly with your adversary who is taking you to court. Do it while you are still together on the way, or your adversary may hand you over to the judge, and the judge may hand you over to the officer, and you may be thrown into prison. Truly, I tell you, you will not get out until you have paid the last penny. Okay, and so that is 25 and 26. Matthew 25 and 26. 5, 25, 26. And okay, so what that's telling me is we need to settle matters quick. We don't need to harbor and hold anything. And sorry, my glasses are crooked. It's from my headphones there. All right. So with that being said, it's important that we get these matters settled, whatever they may be. You know, yesterday I was watching a podcast, and somebody started hating on the podcaster and her guest about being anti-Semitic, and I'm out because you brought this man in. And I'm not going to talk politics. I'm not going to talk anything worldly in here. It's just ironic how offended I got as a person and wanted to lash out. And I did. And I sinned. I repent. I mean, I deleted my comments right away because it's not the right thing to do. It's not the right way to handle things. Yeah, I'm offended because I think that if we back up here to 5:11, it says, "Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecute the prophets who were before you." Okay, and so that's kind of how I seen it. I mean, this guy, I know this guy, and he's a Christian, and he is a true follower of Jesus, and he does everything he can to be righteous with the Lord, because he will say at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anybody says, it doesn't matter what anybody does. All that matters is that we are doing the right thing. And those who are persecuting this man, beware. Because it talks about this, Jesus talks about this in his Sermons on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5. So, with that being said, I had to really think about that, because it's not my job to therefore persecute somebody who's persecuting somebody else. It's not my battle, it's not my job. And I, like I've said many times, I am a sinner, I'm a sinner, I'm a sinner. So, moving forward, I deleted my comments, I didn't even respond, and the only comment I put on there is Jesus is King, something like that, because I believe that. And then later I was watching another podcast of, because I'm really getting into this spiritual thing. And so this guy is talking about Jesus, and whose job is it to take the role of Jesus, and what Jesus came here to do. Because in the Old Testament it talks about Moses freed or brought the slaves back from Egypt or something, and brought the 10 Commandments down. And he is looked at as a kind of an idol. And it says pretty clearly in here, have no false idols. Do not worship false idols. And then in the same time, I heard another guy say, well, Jesus broke the law when he was here, because he saved a life on the Sabbath, which is strictly against the law. Okay, but whose law is that? Is that from Moses? I'm not exactly sure what this man was referring to, but I understand what he's saying. Jesus broke the law. But whose law? I mean, really, at the end of the day, yeah, it says on the Sabbath we should rest. Okay, because God did. But God is not trying to harm us. And if somebody needs saving, they'll be saved. And that's just what I believe Jesus did. So I'm not sure where this guy has the audacity to say the Son of God is a lawbreaker. And then I heard somebody else talk about Jesus came, the Israel is supposed to be the light for the world. They're supposed to lead us in righteousness. And it is widely believed that they are not. And Moses came and brought the slaves from Egypt, or did something with the slaves. I haven't read the Old Commandments or the Old Testament, so I will get to that. I'm just going by what I heard and trying to recollect what he said. So he said Moses brought the slaves back and got them freed from Egypt to Israel. Okay, so that is a noble thing. That is not God. And so we need to be mindful of who we're idling. Anybody. And so the Jews are supposed to be the light. And Jesus came, and this is how I understand it, and just from watching and listening, Jesus came and did it perfectly. He's King of the Jews, they say, and he said, and he did it perfectly to be a guide for how Jews should be the light for everybody, for the masses. And it is what it is. And people are going to hate and have opinions and do what they're going to do, and that's okay. It's not my job. My job is to pray for everybody that God gives them the guidance, the direction, and the light they need in their lives to save themselves. And I will do what I can here as I am now to be able to bring this message, And so continuing on with Matthew, the very next one, Matthew 27, talks about adultery. And so this one is kind of confusing to me because it says, "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall not commit adultery.' But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If it is your right eye causes you to stumble, or if your right eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better to lose one part of your body than the whole body be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better to lose one part of your body than your whole body to go into hell." Okay, so right there, I'm going to pause for a minute and just talk about that. Because when I say I'm a sinner, this is really kind of where I'm at. Because I look, if, it's not like when Jesus was walking on the earth, women were kind of concealed. They didn't expose themselves the way they do now. And I was talking to my wife about this last night, and I said, it's really almost impossible to, I'd be a blind man, a deaf man, a mute man, I'd be handless and footless too, because I'm a sinner. And so with reading this, does it does it mean that I actually need to gouge out my eyes? And at what point is it the responsibility of some of the people walking by to respect themselves, I guess? We're talking about, my wife and I were talking about, if this girl walks by with Daisy Dukes and a halter top and she's exposed, nothing really left of the imagination, how is it possible to not sin? I mean, I don't know, unless you're not into that, I guess, but I'm a man and I am a sinner, and I have sinned with this one tons in my life. And I certainly hope that there is forgiveness in Jesus for this, because I have sinned and I have not ripped out my eyes, and I have not ripped off my ears, or cut out my tongue, or cut my hands off, and pretty much my whole body has left me astray or led me astray. And I don't know. So if you guys have any advice here, I mean, what should one do to be righteous with God in this manner? I can look around the world, and I'm not judging, because it's not my job. Clearly, these women dressed like this because of the attention they get from men. Clearly, I'm not the only sinner here. And then you move on to where he says in Revelations, 12,000 from the 12 tribes will go. So that's the Israel, or Jewish people, I believe, the 12 tribes of Israel. And so that's how many will go. Is that just of the Jews? Because Paul talks about Jesus gave him the message to bring the word of Jesus to the Gentiles, which is me. And so, I don't know. I mean, it's so easy to sin. You got the computers, you got the TV. I mean, you can't even watch a TV without seeing stuff that's going to take you away from Christ. And I guess it was simpler when we didn't have a TV or radio or cell phones, and people read books, and people were smarter then than they are now. I had a buddy who was, his name was Bill, and when he went to school, he was quite a bit older than me. He's passed on now. And when he went to school, he went from first grade or kindergarten to 8th grade. He graduated high school in 8th grade. And I was like, God, that's crazy, because I mean, I dropped out in 10th grade. So does that mean I'm smarter than you? I was not. I can tell you, I was not. This man was the brightest man that I've ever come across. When I was in college, I talked to him about random things, and he knew all about everything I was talking about. I talked about fission. He knew all about it. He knew the mathematical equations. He knew everything about it. So, yeah, people were smarter when they weren't stuck in the TV. People probably sinned less when they weren't stuck in the TV. And it's important that we be true to this. And then, so moving on, clearly you can see I have 2 eyes, 2 ears, my tongue, both my hands. I have fallen short on this one. So any advice, I'm open. So the next one, divorce. So it has been said, anyone who divorces his wife must give her a certificate of divorce. But I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife except for sexual immorality makes her the victim of adultery. And anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. All right. So this one is definitely going to be a struggle for me because I was never married till my current wife. I don't know, my only wife, I guess. And she was married before, and she got divorced, and now she's my wife. So my question is, am I sinning here? Am I am I wrong in Jesus' eyes? Because I don't want to be. I love my wife. I I'm just I'm not sure what to do with this one because it's a big deal. It's truly a big deal, and yeah, I don't know. So again, advice on this one, please. I would appreciate it greatly. And so with that, we're probably going to stop there and continue to tomorrow with the oaths and eye for an eye, stuff like that. And we're going to continue with Mathew again because I really needed to dissect this. I got a message about it somehow. I dreamt about it. I thought about it a lot. And I needed to go to the Sermon on the Mount from Jesus. And I needed to pay attention better than I did when I read it. I mean, I read it before, but I just kind of glanced through it. I didn't really take a lot with me. I know that I did question the whole divorce thing and the adultery thing and the eye gouging, stuff like that. And then the persecuting and judging. I am a quick judger of people. I will judge people quickly. It's not my right. And I pray every day that I can find serenity there and just give peace. I am not likely to have somebody slap me in the cheek and turn my other cheek and let them slap that one too. That's just not kind of who I am. So with that being said, I will pray for righteousness and guidance there. And I think that, this channel, I must say, I wasn't even planning on doing anything like this. I had no intentions of doing this. I don't even know why I started it. It's important, though. I think that when I look around the world, it seems that the stuff I'm reading in Revelations is kind of relevant right now. And I guess I feel a desperation to try to get people right with Christ because Christ is coming back. And there's this thing, I think it's a movie or something, or a song, I don't remember, but it's there's no time to change your mind. When Jesus comes, that's it. There's no time. You can't say, "Oh, wait a second, I'm not ready." It's Jesus says himself, "I will come like a thief in the night. No one will know, not even myself." So with that being said, let's all try to get right with Christ. Christ is King, and Christ came to the Jewish people because they're supposed to lead us in the light. And it's real easy to say they're falling short. I'm not the judge. I'm not the guy who can say that. I know that when I hear somebody say Jesus broke the law, he's a sinner, I guess I don't believe that, personally. I believe that Jesus came, he walked a perfect life, the only person on this planet to ever come to this place and walk a perfect life. Adam and Eve were supposed to be that, and they were led astray by the serpent. We all know that story. I haven't read it since I was probably 7 or 8, so I will get back into that when I'm done with Revelations. But I had a super drive to go back into the Mount of the Sermon, or the Sermon on the Mount, and from Jesus, because I think I don't know, I just got a message, that's what I needed to do. So that's what I did, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. I will continue with Matthew until I dissect it and understand. And so, again, I'm opening this channel up to everybody. Feedback is welcome always. Guidance is welcome always. I am not perfect. I'm not better than anybody. I'm not anything like that. And I will work on turning my other cheek if I need to. I can't guarantee it, but I'll work on it. And with that being said, thank you guys for listening. And if this content resonates anything with you, please give me a like and subscribe. It just helps out the channel and helps me to be able to keep doing this and talking about this with you guys. So you guys have a great day. Be blessed. Find Jesus and love you.